There's a certain type of person who believes happiness is a limited resource. If you have it, they've lost it. If you win, they've failed. If you smile too wide, you've attacked them. When I got engaged, I didn't expect fireworks. I expected congratulations. Instead, my cousin looked at me like I'd committed a crime and said, "You're not allowed to be happier than me." Not joking, not smiling, not even pretending. And in that moment, I understood something brutal. This wasn't jealousy. This was ownership. She didn't want my joy ruined. She wanted it controlled. And when she realized she couldn't regulate my life anymore, she tried to burn it down instead. The first time my cousin said it, I honestly thought I misheard her. We were standing in my mom's kitchen, the kind of kitchen that always smells like something being warmed up for just in case someone gets hungry. Everyone else was in the living room, laughing at a TV show that none of us were really watching. The engagement news had just hit the room like a spark in a dry field. People hugged me, hugged my fiancé, asked to see the ring, asked when the wedding was, asked how I did it. My cousin waited. She didn't rush to be the first to congratulate us. She didn't do the squeal and the "oh my God, finally" thing. She didn't even fake it. She watched everything with this still face, like she was taking inventory. Then she followed me into the kitchen like she'd been invited. "You're moving fast," she said. I smiled because I didn't know what else to do. "I proposed. That's the point." She leaned against the counter, arms folded. Her nails were perfect. Her hair was perfect. Her expression was like she was about to tell me someone had died, but she didn't want to ruin dinner. "You can't post it yet," she said. I blinked. "Post what?" "Any of it," she said, and her voice got quieter. Not softer. Quieter. "There's a difference. The ring, the pictures, the announcement." I laughed, one sharp breath. "Why not?" She looked me straight in the eyes like she wanted to make sure I understood she wasn't joking. "You're not allowed to be happier than me," she said. The room didn't tilt or go cinematic. It didn't feel like a movie. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and pinched something tender, not hard enough to injure, just enough to remind me it exists. I stared at her. My first instinct was to give her an out. People say weird stuff. People speak badly when they're stressed, so I tried to save her from herself. "What?" I said, half a laugh again. What are you talking about?" She exhaled through her nose, annoyed like I was pretending not to understand something obvious. "I'm serious," she said. "Do you know how this looks? Like you're trying to rub it in." "Rub it in?" I repeated, and my voice went flat without me meaning it to. "I just got engaged." "And I'm happy for you," she said quickly, like she'd just remembered the line she was supposed to say. "But you need to be considerate. You've always been—" She waved a hand, searching for a word that would stab without looking like a stab. "You've always been lucky." Lucky. That was her favorite word for me. As if things just happened to me and I never earned them, never worked for them, never bled for them. Lucky was how she turned my life into an insult. I looked through the doorway at my fiancé on the couch, her hand resting on her knee like she didn't know what to do with it yet. She was smiling at my aunt, nodding politely the way she always did. The way she did when she was trying to be loved by people who treated love like a membership card. My cousin followed my gaze and smiled too, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Tell her," she said. "Tell her not to post." My brain did this quick scan of possible outcomes like a panic algorithm. If I said no, she would cause a scene. She always did. If I said yes, I would be promising her control over something that wasn't hers, and she would never stop. I went for the coward's compromise. "We'll post when we post," I said. "It's not a big deal." Her head tilted. "It is a big deal. It's a big deal because people are going to compare." "Compare what?" She rolled her eyes like I was insulting her intelligence. "Us!" There it was. Not the engagement, not the ring, not the happiness, the scoreboard. She pushed off the counter and stepped closer, lowering her voice further. "You know I've had a hard year." I did know. Everyone knew. She made sure everyone knew. She brought her hard year into every conversation like a passport. But here's the thing, she had a hard year almost every year. It was always someone else's fault. A boss who didn't appreciate her, friends who were fake, a guy who was toxic, a landlord who targeted her. The world was always unfair to her in a way that demanded an audience. "I'm sorry you've had a hard year," I said, "because that's what you say." She nodded, satisfied, like she'd just collected the first payment. "So you can let me have this," I frowned. "Have what?" She gestured toward the living room where my mom was practically glowing. "The attention isn't going to last for you anyway. Let it shift. Let it settle." It took me a second to understand what she was actually saying. She wanted my engagement announcement to be smaller so she could stay bigger. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Not rage yet. More like disbelief turning into rage, the slow chemical reaction of realizing someone is saying the quiet part out loud. "You're being weird," I said. She smiled again, like I was the one embarrassing myself. "I'm being honest." That was another one of her weapons, honesty. She used it like a bat and acted shocked when people bled. "Just don't post it," she said. "Wait a week, 2 weeks. Let me plan something first." "Plan what?" "A surprise," she said. "For you, for her, a celebration, something classy, not whatever you did." My stomach tightened. I hadn't even told her how I proposed. Not the details, not the place, not the part where my voice cracked because I didn't expect it to. Not the part where my fiancé started crying before I even finished the question. Not the part where my friend was filming from a distance because my fiancé's sister had asked him to, quietly, like she wanted us to have proof of the moment for ourselves. My cousin hadn't asked. She didn't want to know. She wanted to control the version that got shown. "You didn't see what I did," I said. She shrugged. "I don't need to. I know your style." My style. Like I was a brand that didn't measure up. I forced a breath. "I'm going back in there," I said. She stepped into my path, still smiling. "If you post it right away, people will think you're doing it to hurt me." The audacity of it was almost impressive. "Why would they think that?" I asked. "Because they know," she said, and her eyes sharpened. "They know how you are." That sentence landed like a slap because it wasn't new. It was the same sentence she'd been using in different outfits for years. When I was 16 and got a part-time job, she told my aunt I was showing off, like earning my own money was a personal attack. When I got into a decent college, she said my parents must have pulled strings. When I moved out, she said I thought I was better than everyone. When I started dating my fiancé, she called it a phase, then started asking weird questions about her income. Every time something good happened to me, she didn't just feel bad. She felt cheated, like the universe had signed a contract with her and accidentally paid the wrong person. I looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time, I didn't see a cousin I had to accommodate. I saw a person who believed my happiness was theft. "I'm not doing anything to you," I said quietly. Her smile faded. "You always say that, because it's true." She leaned in close enough that I could smell her perfume, sweet and expensive and sharp at the end. "Then prove it." "By hiding my engagement?" "By being considerate," she corrected, and her voice went cold. "By not making a spectacle. By not acting like you're the main character." I almost laughed again, but this time there was no humor in it. Because my cousin had spent her entire life acting like the world was her stage and everyone else was background. And now she was accusing me of stealing her spotlight by living my own life. From the living room, my mom called my name. She sounded happy, like she wanted me to come back and bask in the moment. My fiancé looked toward the kitchen, searching for me with her eyes. I could feel the fork in the road like a physical thing. This was the moment where you either teach someone they can control you, or you teach them they can't. I swallowed. "We'll post when we want," I said. "That's not up for discussion." My cousin's face twitched, just for a second, like the mask slipped and something ugly breathed underneath it. "Okay," she said too fast. "Fine. I just hope you're ready for what happens after." "What happens after?" I asked. She stepped aside finally, letting me pass, but she said it as I walked by, like a curse delivered gently. "People don't like it when you make them feel small." I turned back. "I'm not making anyone feel small." Her eyes met mine with a calm that felt rehearsed. "Then you shouldn't be scared," she said. I walked back into the living room with a smile on my face that didn't belong to me. My mom pulled me into a hug, my dad clapped my shoulder, my aunt started crying, my uncle made a joke about shotgun weddings. My fiancée squeezed my hand and I squeezed back, and for a second the warmth of her skin reminded me what mattered. But I couldn't stop hearing my cousin's words, repeated like a neon sign in my head. You're not allowed to be happier than me. That night, after we got home, my fiancée kicked her shoes off and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ring like it might start speaking. She looked up at me with that soft, careful expression she gets when she's about to ask a question that she already knows the answer to. Your cousin cornered you, she said. It wasn't a question. I sat beside her. Yeah. What did she say? I hesitated, and that hesitation was the first betrayal. Not of my cousin, of my fiancée. Because she deserved the truth immediately, not after I'd tried and failed to handle it alone. She told me not to post anything, I said. My fiancé's eyebrows lifted. Why? I let out a breath that tasted like metal. Because she said, I'm not allowed to be happier than her. Silence filled the room, thick and weighty. Then my fiancée laughed once, short and disbelieving. She did not. She did. Her laughter died. Her face changed, not into anger, into clarity. That's not jealousy, she said quietly. That's entitlement. I stared at my hands. It's been like that for a long time. She reached for my face, held it gently, like she was making sure I was still here. Listen to me, she said. This is our life, not hers. And I'm not starting a marriage by negotiating with someone who thinks she owns your happiness. I nodded, but the pit in my stomach didn't loosen. Because I knew my cousin. I knew what she did when she didn't get her way. She didn't just sulk. She retaliated. And the proposal video, the real one, the one that was supposed to be ours, was sitting on my friend's phone and in our cloud storage like a loaded weapon. Not because we wanted to use it, but because I already had a feeling she would. The first text came the next morning. Not congratulations, not I overreacted, not even passive-aggressive emojis. It was a paragraph. Cousin, I've been thinking, if you're going to announce it, let me plan the rollout. It would be embarrassing for you to post something low quality. I can edit the video. Send it to me. I stared at the screen. Rollout, like I'd launched a product. My fiancée was brushing her teeth when I walked into the bathroom holding my phone. She wants the video, I said. She didn't pause mid-brush, just looked at me through the mirror. For what? To control the rollout. She spit, rinsed, wiped her mouth. Absolutely not. The certainty in her voice grounded me. No debate, no analysis, just a boundary. I texted back. Me. We're good, we'll handle it. 3 dots appeared immediately. Cousin. So you don't trust me? There it was, the emotional hook. It was never about the video, it was about allegiance. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, my aunt called. I let it ring twice before answering. Hi, Auntie. She didn't say hi back. I heard you were rude to your cousin last night. And just like that, the narrative had shifted. I wasn't rude, I said carefully. She told me not to post my own engagement. She's just sensitive right now, my aunt said. You know how much she's been through. There it was again, the hard year trademark. She said I'm not allowed to be happier than her. My aunt didn't even pause. Oh, she didn't mean it like that. Like what? Like you're taking it. The calmness in her voice made my pulse climb. How am I taking it? By making it about you. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it for a second. It is about me, I said slowly. I proposed. You're being defensive, she said. See? This is what I'm talking about. This was the family's favorite trick. If you disagreed, you were emotional. If you defended yourself, you were aggressive. If you set a boundary, you were cruel. She just asked you to be thoughtful, my aunt continued, to give her space. By delaying my engagement announcement? Yes. The simplicity of her answer almost made me laugh. You're serious, I said. Very. I hung up without saying goodbye. For about 10 minutes, I sat on the edge of the couch staring at nothing. My fiancée came out and sat next to me. They're circling, aren't they? Already. She nodded like she'd expected it. And that's when I realized something uncomfortable. She had seen this dynamic before I had, not because she was smarter, but because she wasn't raised inside it. When you grow up in something, you don't see it as strange, you see it as weather. That afternoon, my cousin posted first, not about my engagement, about herself, a selfie, perfect lighting. Caption: some people forget who's been there for them their whole life. But I'm learning not everyone celebrates your growth the way you celebrate theirs. The comments flooded in. You deserve better. People are so ungrateful. Cut them off. I didn't respond. Then the group chat started. Family group chat, 17 participants. Cousin: I don't want drama, but I'm hurt. I asked for a small courtesy and got dismissed. Aunt: we're family. We should care about each other's feelings. Grandma: what is happening? Cousin: nothing. Just realizing some people don't care how their actions affect others. I typed 3 responses and deleted all 3. Then my cousin sent a private message. You're making me look crazy. I stared at it. By doing nothing? I typed. By ignoring me, she replied. There it was. Silence wasn't neutrality to her. Silence was defiance. That evening, my friend who filmed the proposal called me. Dude, he said, why did your cousin just DM me asking for the raw footage? I stood up so fast I nearly knocked over a chair. She what? She said she wanted to add music and surprise you. I laughed once. It sounded wrong. Don't send her anything, I said. Wasn't planning to. He paused. Is everything okay? I looked at my fiancée across the room. She was on her laptop, probably already looking up venue prices, trying to keep the future intact while the past tried to drag us backward. Yeah, I lied. Just family stuff. He was quiet for a second. The proposal was solid, by the way. Real, not staged. She can't rewrite that. The word rewrite stuck with me because that's exactly what my cousin did. She rewrote history in real time. 2 days later, she escalated. She posted, "It's funny how people forget who supported them when they had nothing. But success changes people." My phone started buzzing with messages from distant relatives. What's going on? Did you two fight? She seems upset. One of my uncles called and said, why don't you just let her plan something? It's not a big deal. I finally snapped a little. It is a big deal, I said, because it won't stop there. Silence on the other end. You're overthinking it, he said. That was the thing about emotional manipulation. If you couldn't see it, it looked like overreaction. 3 nights after the engagement, my cousin showed up at our apartment unannounced. My fiancée opened the door. Hi, my cousin said, smiling brightly. Too brightly. She was holding a bottle of champagne. I thought we should celebrate properly. I stepped into the hallway. We didn't invite you. She ignored that. I've been thinking, she said. I want to host your engagement party. At my place, I'll pay for everything. My stomach tightened. There it was. Money. Not as a gift, as leverage. That's generous, my fiancé said evenly. But, my cousin continued, I'll need to approve the guest list and the theme and the photos that get posted. Approve? I repeated. She looked at me like I was being dramatic. Just so it doesn't look chaotic. I think we've got it, I said. Her smile faltered. You're making a mistake, she said softly. People are already talking. About what? About how rushed this is, she said. About how you didn't even consider anyone else. I stared at her. Consider anyone else in what? She stepped inside without being invited. In the announcement, she said. In the optics. In the timing. It makes me look bad. There it was again. Everything filtered through how it reflected on her. You're engaged, she said like it was an accusation. And I'm not. The honesty almost surprised me. For a second, I saw something real flicker in her eyes. Not malice, fear. But fear doesn't excuse control. That's not something I did to you, I said quietly. Her face hardened instantly. Everything is about you lately, she snapped. You think you're better than everyone because you found someone who tolerates you. My fiancé's posture changed. Careful, she said. My cousin laughed. Oh, so now she speaks for you? No, my fiancé said calmly. I just don't let people insult him in his own home. That hit hard, because my cousin had always relied on me being alone in these confrontations. She recalibrated quickly. I'm just being honest, she said again. You're being controlling, my fiancé replied. Silence fell between the 3 of us. My cousin's eyes darted between us, calculating. You're going to regret shutting me out, she said finally. I was the only one keeping the peace in this family. I almost laughed at that, because keeping the peace in our family usually meant giving her what she wanted. When she left, she didn't slam the door. She just said, "Don't post that video." That night, my mom called. She sounded tired. "Can you just give her the video?" she asked. "She feels excluded." "From what?" I asked. "From your life." The guilt was strategic. "She doesn't own my life," I said. "She's family. So am I." Silence. My mom lowered her voice. "She's been telling people that your fiancé pressured you into proposing." I felt something snap inside my chest. "What?" "She said you weren't ready, that she tried to talk to you and you shut her down." I closed my eyes. There it was. The smear. If she couldn't control the narrative, she would contaminate it. "She's lying," I said. "I know," my mom said quickly. "But you know how people are." Yes, I did. They believed the loudest version. And my cousin was loud. I hung up and walked into the bedroom where my fiancée was scrolling through her phone. "She's saying you pressured me," I said. She didn't react immediately. She just put the phone down slowly. "Okay," she said. "So this is where it goes nuclear." I nodded. "She wants the video," I said again. My fiancé's jaw tightened. "She wants to control the proof." Exactly, because the video wasn't just a memory. It was evidence. Evidence that I was steady, that I was certain, that no one coerced me, that the moment was real and not curated for her approval. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a screenshot from a friend. My cousin had commented on someone else's post. If only people knew the full story. And suddenly I understood. She wasn't asking for the video to help. She was asking for it so she could decide which parts of it were allowed to exist and which parts needed to disappear. The breaking point came on a Sunday. Of course it did. Family events in my life have always detonated on Sundays. Church clothes, polite smiles, undercooked resentment. My aunt had organized a casual brunch at her house. Casual in our family means strategic. My mom told me we should go. "It'll calm things down," she said. My fiancé looked at me carefully. "Do you want to go?" No one had asked me that yet. "I don't know," I admitted. But part of me did know. If we didn't go, we'd be accused of hiding. If we went, we'd be ambushed. There was no neutral option, only different battlegrounds. So we went. The moment we walked in, I felt it. That invisible hum in the air. Conversation stopping half a second too late. Smiles stretched just a little too wide. My cousin was already there, of course. Perfect outfit, perfect hair, perfect victim posture. She stood up when she saw us and opened her arms like this was a reunion. "I'm so glad you came," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. We hugged, and she squeezed too tight. "You look calm," she whispered in my ear. "That's new." I stepped back. Brunch started normally. Eggs, coffee, small talk. My grandma asked about the ring again. My uncle made jokes about wedding costs. My aunt kept refilling everyone's cup like caffeine could drown tension. Then my cousin stood up. "I just want to say something," she said. Forks paused midair. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." I felt my pulse in my throat. She turned to face me and my fiancé. "I never said you can't be happy," she said, her voice trembling slightly, Oscar-level trembling. "I just asked for sensitivity." A few heads nodded. "You know I've had a hard year," she continued. "And when you got engaged so suddenly, without even talking to me about it?" She let the sentence trail off like the betrayal was too heavy to finish. Talk to her about it? My fiancé shifted beside me. "You think he needs your permission?" she asked calmly. My cousin's eyes filled with tears instantly. "I never said that," she whispered. My aunt jumped in. "No one is saying that." "Yes, she is," my fiancé said. Gasps, soft ones, controlled. I put my hand on my fiancé's knee, not to silence her, to steady her, and maybe myself. My cousin turned back to me. "Did you even consider how it would affect me?" she asked. And there it was, public, out loud, no more kitchen whispers. "How would my engagement affect you?" I asked evenly. She hesitated for half a second. That was the crack. "You know I've always wanted that first," she said. First, like we were in a race no one told me I was running. "You're not dating anyone," I said carefully. Her face changed. "So now you're attacking me." I'm stating a fact. You're humiliating me, she said, louder now. The room tightened. I proposed because I love her, I said, nodding toward my fiancé. Not because of you. You always do this, she snapped. The tears were gone now, replaced by heat. You act innocent while you stab me in the back. With what? I asked. With this, she gestured wildly. With your perfect life, with your perfect relationship, you make me look like I failed. And finally, there it was. Not hidden, not filtered, failed. My aunt stood up. That's enough. No, my cousin said, turning on her. He needs to hear this. The entire room had gone silent. You've always taken things from me, she said, pointing at me. I blinked. Name one, I said. She faltered. In high school, when you got that job at the store, you didn't apply. You knew I wanted it. You never said that. You should have known. The logic was unraveling in real time. And now this, she said, voice rising. You couldn't even wait. You couldn't even give me time to... To what? I asked sharply. Find someone? Stage a bigger proposal? Approve mine? That landed. Her composure cracked. You don't understand what it's like, she hissed. Everyone compares us. I don't compare us, I said. But they do. And that was the closest thing to truth she'd offered all month. She lived inside imaginary scoreboards. Every compliment I received was a deduction from her worth. I can't control what other people think, I said, but I'm not shrinking my life so you feel bigger. Silence. Heavy. Then she went nuclear. You weren't even ready to propose, she said loudly. You told me that. I stared at her. I never told you that. Yes, you did, she insisted. You said you felt pressured. The room shifted again, heads turning, eyes scanning me. My fiancé looked at me slowly. Did you? She asked quietly. That hurt more than anything my cousin had said. No, I said immediately. I never said that. My cousin crossed her arms. So now I'm a liar? Yes, my fiancé said before I could. The word echoed. My cousin let out a short laugh. You know what? Fine. Let's show everyone. She pulled out her phone. I have screenshots, she said. My stomach dropped. She scrolled dramatically, then turned the phone toward the table. The screenshots were cropped, out of context. A conversation from months ago where I had said I was thinking about the future and not sure about timing, before I had even bought the ring. That's not what that means, I said. It literally says you weren't ready, she snapped. It says I was planning. You said you felt pressure. From life, I shot back. From finances, from work, not from her. My fiancé stood up. You edited those, she said calmly. Where's the rest? My cousin's eyes flashed. That's private. Convenient, my fiancé replied. The room was splitting. You could feel it. Some relatives looked uncomfortable. Some looked entertained. A few looked convinced. My cousin looked at me like she was daring me. Post the video, she said suddenly. The words cut through the room. Post it right now, she continued. Let's see how authentic it really was. She thought she had me cornered, because she assumed the video would somehow validate her story, or at least give her material to twist. I stood up slowly. You want the video? I asked. Yes. My friend, the one who filmed it, had sent me the final cut 2 nights ago. We hadn't posted it yet because of all this chaos. I pulled out my phone. My hands weren't shaking. My cousin smiled, confident. Go ahead, she said. Show everyone. So I did, not by turning the screen around, by opening Instagram, by uploading the full, unedited video, with a caption, not defensive, not aggressive, just simple. No pressure, no permission, just love. I hit post. The room was silent except for the faint clink of my grandma's spoon against her plate. My cousin's phone buzzed almost instantly. Then again, and again, she looked down, watched. In the video, I was steady, clear, certain. My voice cracked, yes, but not from doubt, from emotion. My fiancé laughed and cried at the same time. I didn't hesitate. I didn't look unsure. I didn't look manipulated. It was obvious, painfully obvious. My cousin's face drained of color. You did that to embarrass me, she whispered. No, I said. I did that because you tried to rewrite it. Her breathing got shallow. You always ruin everything, she snapped. No, I said again, firmer. You ruin things when they're not about you. That was the moment, the real one. Her mask fell completely. I hope it fails, she said, venom spilling freely now. I hope she leaves you. I hope you end up alone and realize you chose wrong. Gasps. My aunt stood up. Stop! But it was too late. The room had seen it, not the curated version, not the victim script, the real thing, and for the first time she couldn't take it back. My phone kept buzzing. Likes, comments, messages. Not from strangers, from family, from people who had been quietly watching this unfold. Proud of you. That was beautiful. She needs help. My cousin looked around the table, searching for allies. She found fewer than she expected, and that's when she lost it. You think this makes you better than me? She screamed. No, I said quietly. It just makes me done. And in that moment, I meant it. Not temporarily, not emotionally, permanently. The aftermath didn't explode. It collapsed. My cousin stood there shaking, breathing like the room was too small for her. No one rushed to comfort her this time. No one jumped up to translate her words into something softer. My aunt tried. She didn't mean that, she said weakly. But the problem with public meltdowns is that everyone hears them in surround sound. I meant every word, my cousin snapped. That was the final fracture. You could see it on people's faces, the recalculation, the realization that this wasn't hurt feelings, this wasn't a misunderstanding, this was possession. She didn't want my happiness ruined. She wanted it revoked. My grandma spoke next, quietly. That video was beautiful, she said. Not to me, to the table. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it shifted gravity. My cousin looked at her like she'd been betrayed. You're taking his side? There are no sides, my grandma replied. There is behavior. Silence. My aunt's eyes darted between us like she was trying to stop a leak with her hands. This has gone too far, she said. It went too far when she tried to control it, my fiancé said calmly. I looked at my cousin one last time. There was something almost childlike in her expression now, not innocent, just stunned, like she genuinely believed this wasn't supposed to happen. You could have just waited, she muttered. For what? I asked. For me to be okay. And there it was. The rule she'd been living by her whole life. No one moves forward until she's comfortable. No one celebrates until she approves. No one wins unless she does first. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I didn't drag out childhood receipts. I just said very clearly, I am not responsible for regulating your happiness. The sentence felt foreign in my mouth, like I'd never allowed myself to say it before. She stared at me like I'd spoken a different language. After everything I've done for you, she whispered. That line, the invoice. What have you done for me? I asked. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Silence answered. Because support that comes with ownership isn't support, it's leverage. My fiancé touched my hand gently. We're leaving, she said. We didn't storm out, we didn't slam doors. We just stood up and walked out like adults who understood the room had already made its decision. Outside, the air felt different, not lighter, just honest. When we got in the car, I finally felt it. Not rage, not vindication. Grief. Because cutting someone off isn't heroic. It's surgical. It's messy and necessary and leaves a scar. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my cousin. A text. You just destroyed this family. I stared at it for a long time, then I typed back exactly one message. No, I stopped letting you control it. And I blocked her. Then my aunt. Then anyone who tried to relay messages on her behalf. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just systematically. That evening, we changed passwords on everything wedding-related. Vendors got new instructions, guest list reviewed, security added to the venue. It sounds extreme until you've dealt with someone who believes access is a right. My mom called later. She sounded tired. I don't agree with everything she did, she said. But blocking her, that's permanent. Yes, I said. You're really not going to fix it? There's nothing to fix, I replied. There's a boundary. Silence on the line. She's family, my mom said softly. So am I answered. That was the part no one wanted to confront. In our family, family had always meant preserving the loudest person's comfort, not protecting the quietest one's peace. Over the next week, the dust settled. Some relatives drifted away. They didn't like conflict, so they removed themselves from proximity to it. A few surprised me. My uncle sent a message. "You were right to stand your ground." My grandma called just to ask about wedding colors. And my fiancé, she didn't say "I told you so." She didn't gloat. She just squeezed my hand one night and said, "This is what partnership looks like. Not defending each other against the world, but refusing to let the world rewrite you." A few days later, my cousin tried one last move, a long Facebook post about betrayal, about narcissism, about people who weaponize private moments for public validation. She never named me. She didn't have to. But the comments were different this time. People had seen the video. They had seen the brunch. They had seen the cracks. Narratives lose power when evidence exists, and she had lost control of the narrative. That was the real loss for her, not my engagement, not the attention. Control. Weeks passed. The silence from her side turned from threatening to empty, and in that silence, something unexpected happened. I started breathing differently. There's a specific exhaustion that comes from constantly managing someone else's insecurity, from shrinking yourself in subtle ways so they don't feel eclipsed. I hadn't realized how much I'd been doing it until I stopped. My engagement felt different after that, cleaner, not because she was gone, but because I wasn't negotiating joy anymore. One night, my fiancé and I rewatched the proposal video, not as evidence, not as defense, just as a memory. I watched myself kneel, watched her cry, watched the way I looked at her like nothing else existed. And I realized something. My cousin was right about one thing. People do compare, but only when they believe love is a competition. For me, it wasn't. It was a choice. And that choice didn't require permission from anyone who thought happiness was a limited resource. The wedding will happen without her. There will be empty chairs where expectations used to sit. There will be whispers. There will be stories told about how I overreacted. That's fine, because peace doesn't argue. It just exists. If someone believes you're not allowed to be happier than them, they don't love you. They measure you. And I'm done being measured. The video is still up. Not as revenge, not as proof, just as a reminder. No pressure, no permission, just love. And that's enough. Here's the truth nobody likes to admit. Some family members don't love you. They compete with you. They monitor you. They measure your milestones against their insecurities and call it concern. When I posted the real proposal video, I didn't expose her. She exposed herself. All I did was remove her ability to edit the narrative. And when control is the only thing someone values, losing it feels like death. So she called me cruel, selfish, disloyal. Fine. I'd rather be selfish than owned. I'd rather be disloyal than obedient to someone else's insecurity. She didn't lose me because of a video. She lost me because I stopped shrinking. And once you stop shrinking for someone who feeds on control, you never go back.